Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to look at some basics of the square root property. Our square root property, as you can see, is if we have an equation where we have a quantity squared, in this case a, whatever that quantity is, equal to some value n. To solve it, we'll take the square root of each side, here and here. The square root of a squared gives me a. The square root of n is the square root of n as some value. And we can also say that a is equal to the opposite, or the negative, square root of n. Now that's not to say the square root of negative n, but as you can see the negative is on the outside of the radical. Or a shorthand way of writing it is a equals plus or minus the square root of n. Either way, we need to indicate that we have a positive and a negative value when we solve a square root equation. For example, if I want to solve 3x squared equals 18, I want to isolate my x squared. So in this case, I'll divide by 3. X squared equals 6. Now I can take the square root of each side. I'm left with x here, and then I have square root of 6 plus and minus. Now here, there's nothing that can be simplified. In other words, I can't break down my 6 at all, and that's always something I want to do with these kinds of problems. Simplify the radical as much as I can. I always want to isolate my variable, or my variable squared. So in this case, 2x squared plus 7 equals 0. I'll subtract 7. Now I'll have 2x squared equals negative 7. Divide by 2. So x squared equals negative 7 halves. Now I'll take the square root. So if x equals, since I have a negative inside the square root, we'll pull the I out and make it I square root of 7 over 2. Since we have a fraction, we want to make sure we have it rationalized. In other words, this is the same thing as saying the square root of 7 over the square root of 2. So to get rid of my radical from the denominator, I need to multiply by square root of 2. Now I'll have I square root of 14 over the square root of 4, which I can reduce to I square root of 14 over 2. And of course I need my plus minus. So in this case, if I have a fraction, I want to be sure to simplify and rationalize. And here I have my my plus and minus I square root of 14. And the way I wrote it, the I is in the numerator spot. It can be in the numerator spot, or it can be in front of the whole fraction. The only restriction is it cannot be in the denominator. So this is a review of the square root property and how to solve it in equations, or in quadratic equations.